It's a lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet TV Main News. To present, my name is Jeffrey Siambo. Top stories in the news tonight: 700 prisoners walk to freedom. Cabinet U-turns on its decision to invite KALABA to State House. Presidential appointments anger UPND party members. In international news, poor conditions in ESWATINI aggravated by unrest. And in sports news, MUTATI urges chess tournament to be turned into an annual event.
Are you a small to medium enterprise looking to advertise your products and services within your community and across Zambia? In these economic times, we are here to help you grow your business. Advertise with us on Camnet Market. Camnet Market is offering lower rates for prime time advertising between 06 to 18 hours every day to give your business an edge under the new normal and beyond. For more details, contact us on the following numbers: 097 975 3010 or 096 296 5883, as well as 096 244 726. You can also reach us via email on info@camnettvafrica.com. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Hello once again. Another news in detail. Cabinet Office has withdrawn the invitation letter of Democratic Party leader KALABA to the National Honors and Awards investiture ceremony of the 57th Independence Celebration to be held tomorrow, the 24th of October 2021 at State House. This came to light after the three expelled party officials, Judith Kabemba, Justin Nkonge and Evans Chilambwe, wrote a letter to Cabinet Office to remind them that Mr. KALABA has no locus standi to represent DP at any function, especially the one in question. And DP Secretary Justin Nkonge has confirmed the predicament with Camnet News in a telephone interview. Meanwhile, efforts to get Mr. KALABA's position by broadcast time proved futile.
Yes, I can confirm and give a position that the statement that was released by our Deputy National Secretary is actually true, because yesterday we got wind and discovered that someone sneaked a card to KALABA for an invitation to the investor, to the ceremony and the award ceremony for the 57th Independence Celebration. And we took a step. We went to Cabinet Office to find out, and we wrote a letter to the acting secretary to the Cabinet, and we were making follow-ups as to why Mr. KALABA should be given the card, because he has no locus standi to represent the party to any state function. We're still a state function, any function. So the news that is circulating is true, and I can only invite people who are doubting to say that let them call Cabinet Office and find out the veracity of the statement. It is as it stands. KALABA cannot go and attend state function to represent DP because he has no locus standi. He's not the president of the party.
Some United Party for National Development UPND members have expressed displeasure at President Hakainde Hichilema's appointments of top government officials, which they say has been sidelining party officials who have suffered for the party. Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, UPND Kalikiliki Ward top official Christian Walia says the foundation of the party will be shaken if the president keeps sidelining people who have suffered to see to it that the party gets into power. And Ms. Walia has attributed the loss of the Kaombwe parliamentary seat to the Patriotic Front to the fact that the party did not lay the foundation well. She says it is disappointing to note that the party is losing seats a few months after being voted into office.
They have been given my positions. They are left out. Why? We want to know the reason why. As I'm talking here, the president now UPND leaders us we are recommending William Banda and Martha Mushipe ukulanda aba bantu abafire balolekeshiwapo bantu bali chitulire chipani cha UPND and bali support financially. They have supported UPND Icho tulelanda okutira abantu aba babapeere kwa position ayalondoloka. Baba abantu nga babapeera positions ayalondoloka. Ifo fwe bali panshi pa grassroots tabakatulekereshe. Na tumona abapeerwa positions right now tabale tulolesha. Bale tumona kwati tulina mashampanga tatu abasupportere. We suffered for this party, more especially myself. Mnamu chimonechi ichi chintu ichi na liuminwa na panga na abalume bandu ukubutuka panganda chamwo kutawula guest house yakwe inainganda na nomba yali tobauka iskulu ama desk yali onaika imipando yali kutauka tapawa necho banchitirapo.
The Zambia Consumer Association Executive Secretary Juba Sakala has expressed displeasure over the incidents of mineral water contamination recorded in the country in recent weeks. Mr. Sakala says the Zambia Bureau of Standards must be proactive in addressing water challenges. Mr. Sakala says companies dealing in water need to employ water quality managers to avoid subjecting consumers to substandard products. We have details in this report.
Over the years, Zambia has seen an increase in the number of companies producing mineral bottled water. Competition is equally high in the industry, while preference for bottled water over tap and underground water would be that it is highly purified. In some instances, it is not the case, and recent events confirm that. Recently, the Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency suspended the production and sale of Aqua Savannah Plus mineral water after some batches of the product failed to meet quality test standards. And in another development, a resident of Mazabuka wants to sue Alaska Mineral Water Company after discovering strange particles in some bottled water that he bought for his family.
I want to quickly lash into accusing the company or what, but my message is that first of all, we want the health department to do its job, and if indeed this water is not health, then we shall take a step to make sure that we sue this company, because all my family members who took this water, including myself, we have developed diarrhea that I cannot hide to the public.
Zambia Consumer Association Executive Secretary Juba Sakala calls on regulatory agencies to be proactive in view of safeguarding the plight of consumers in the country.
What has just happened in the recent past, where we have Aqua Savannah and Alaska having their products, or contaminated with some substance. Although Aqua Savannah are able to justify them, saying that the contents are okay, it's just the taste. But you see, when something is bad, it's bad. We cannot start justifying something which is bad. It's no, this one is 10% bad. But when something is bad, it's bad. As well as Alaska, this is the same problem that has happened. But the issue is, how are the regulatory authorities or the bodies responsible, like ZABS and others, doing it? Are they proactive enough to be inspecting these industries? That's the question that we have.
Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Sakala says companies must also be employing qualified quality control officers.
It comes back to the same companies, Aqua Savannah and Alaska, lacking quality control personnel, which means they don't have the quality control personnel who's going to certify the product before releasing it to the market. This also comes of these companies, as much as they want profit, let them employ quality control personnel who are going to look at these products before they release to the market. About ZABs, it's up to them now to be taking random checks to these industries, because industries, they are given specifications how to make water, but they do tend to relax at some point. And you see, a minute relaxation causes problems.
Water is life, but if Zambia takes a passive approach, water will be claiming life. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
A local entrepreneur, Mairi Chimfwembe, says value addition to locally available materials remains one of the ways of promoting entrepreneurship and job creation in the country. Speaking to Camnet News in an interview, Ms. Chimfwembe says she has been adding value to animal fat and activated charcoal for the production of soaps which help reduce pimples and scars on a human body. Ms. Chimfwembe says her business has the potential to expand to other parts of the country with the right machinery and investment, as she currently uses small equipment for production. She, however, says high taxes for some of the imported ingredients has been affecting the pricing of her products. More in the following report.
The COMESA Competition Commission had in September of 2021 warned the general public to exercise caution and avoid purchasing or consumption of cosmetic products which contain hydroquinone above the recommended limits, which ends up destroying one's skin. A local entrepreneur is adding value to local products by making soap using animal fats and activated charcoal. Maryland Nature Soap Chief Executive Officer Maria Chimfwembe says the product she deals in mostly uses local materials and says entrepreneurs in the country have to start thinking outside the box in order to create products that will meet international standards.
We took an adventure in actually studying a lot of oils that are within the country and also what is around us, which we can make a luxury bar into it. And we actually looked at the animal fat, which is beef tallow. It's called beef tallow. We render it, just the animal fat itself, we render it, and after rendering it, it becomes pure. You can't even smell anything. There's nothing like it was beef or anything. Then after, we produce a bar of soap, which is this one that we've produced, and this is made out of beef tallow, which is animal fat. It's very moisturizing. It's very compatible with our oil on our skin.
While government has been encouraging local people to engage in value addition, resources have remained one of the challenges why many businesses fail to grow.
Machineries, we don't have bigger machines that we can say we have bigger machinery. We actually use homemade machineries, like something like for baking, anything that can mix our products to produce the product. If we could get machinery bigger than what we have right now, we can actually do mass production and we can cater for everybody around the country.
Among some of the ingredients used in the manufacturing of the soaps and lotion are those imported from other countries. High taxes have, however, been cited as a hindrance to the pricing of the commodity, which have equally contributed to the fall of many businesses that depend on imported products.
The most challenging that we have is also sourcing our ingredients, raw materials. Some of the raw materials are not in this country. We can access them around neighboring countries, but we are very much taxed as we bring them. And also duties and also other things like shipping is also another impacting cost that has also moved us. So even our pricing of the product is foreseen because of those challenges that we have.
While the products look up to standard, the business uses small equipment and sometimes human hands to create the products. With the products having the capacity to compete at the international market, government and other stakeholders have to come up with better plans on how local businesses can be supported to expand production and reach the international market. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A civil society report on the Tobacco Industry Interference Index has labeled Zambia amongst the worst performing countries. According to the index, Zambia obtained 78 points out of 100% ahead of Japan and Indonesia, in an indication that the tobacco industry is heavily interfering with tobacco control policies. The Tobacco Free Association of Zambia has since recommended that government bans corporate social responsibility activities being undertaken by tobacco industry. Association Executive Director Brenda Chitindi says tobacco producers have been using corporate social responsibility as a persuasion to the government policies in their favor at the expense of public health. We have more in this report.
A new report shows that the tobacco industry is heavily interfering with tobacco control measures in Zambia. Zambia has been defined Article 5.3 of the World Health Organization Framework Convention on Tobacco Control by failing to protect tobacco policies from commercial and other vested interests of the tobacco industry. According to the Tobacco Industry Interference Index, Zambia obtained 78 points out of 100%, only ahead of Japan and Indonesia, meaning the tobacco industry is heavily interfering with tobacco control policies. Tobacco Free Association of Zambia Executive Director Brenda Chitendi has since recommended that the government bans corporate social responsibility activities being undertaken by the tobacco industry,
prescribing the standards which they should comply in their dealings with the tobacco industry. The most worrying of tobacco industry interference into tobacco control policies is assortment of many donations the industry makes in the education sector and health sector, like we have heard on the presentations. Current legislation says little about tobacco industry interference.
During the launch of the report, anti-tobacco activists further urged the government to stop collaborating with the tobacco industry.
The 2021 report for Zambia shows tobacco industry was able to persuade policymakers grant tax breaks for the tobacco industry. The long delay in the filing of the Tobacco Control Product Bill has benefited the tobacco industry to increase its business in Zambia. There is no ban on tobacco advertising. The corporate social responsibilities activities are allowed, enabling industry executives close access to government officials and leaders.
In the meantime, Minister of Health, National Coordinator for Mental Health and Tobacco Control, Dr. Mwenenseluke, is confident that the tobacco control legislation will be enacted into law next year, as assured by the Minister of Health, Sylvia Masebo.
The ministry is part of the government, and there are processes that are involved. And as we are rightly put, we are on the right track. The Honorable Minister, Sylvia Masebo MP, is committed right from the start, and history has it in 2008, as we all know, the SI was brought into effect. And due to circumstances beyond our control, as in last year, as other speakers have alluded, we could not push through the bill.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
A climate change ambassador, Jonathan Nkata, has challenged the government and stakeholders to champion a ban on the use of diesel before discouraging charcoal production. Mr. Nkata says diesel is doing more harm to the environment than charcoal and has wondered why there is no commitment to discourage its use. The ambassador says government needs to find affordable and convenient alternative sources of energy in order to address charcoal burning, which continues to fuel deforestation. He says efforts to reduce charcoal burning are making it become a more lucrative business than making it difficult, and thus making it difficult to address it.
It's the easiest thing we can do is to stop diesel. Charcoal has a lot of factors that we should consider. One, are we energy efficient? Two, is the alternative sustainable energy there convenient for the people? We've not reached that stage yet. So with charcoal, let's give an example. We burn it today. Definitely people will take it to the black market. Okay? Charcoal burning will not stop. So if it goes to the black market, it will be more lucrative. Instead of reducing the impact, will actually lead more people to come to start doing the charcoal business because the profit margins will grow. So as people are designing policies, they should understand the linkages between what they're trying to do and the business principles, how they work in any environment. The less you reduce a product that is on demand, the more you create demand for it, the more people go into it because of what? Profits. Now let's look at the issue of diesel. Why aren't we attacking the elite, the rich that are using diesel? And we begin by discussing the poor peasant people that have completely no income to earn. I think that's unfair. Let's be realistic as we discuss these issues. Let's start with the banning of this dirty diesel. Then let's discuss issues of charcoal. But with charcoal, are we as a country able to provide energy to our people? And that energy, is it in a convenient manner that we're giving the people? And that should be the discussion.
President Hakainde Hichilema has pardoned 700 prisoners to mark 57 years of the country's independence, which will fall on the 24th of October 2021. Speaking during a media briefing Saturday morning, Home Affairs and Internal Security Minister Jack Mwimbu says among those pardoned, 642 are male while 58 are female. The minister says the pardoning of the 700 inmates will greatly help to decongest the correctional facilities and promote social distancing amid the COVID-19 pandemic. He says the pardoned individuals have been rehabilitated and ready for reintegration into society. We have more in this report.
As of 23rd of October 2021, the inmates population countrywide stands at 23,062. These figures shows that the correctional facilities are overstretched and cannot adequately house the large number of inmates. It is for this reason why President Hakainde Hichilema has granted a presidential amnesty to help decongest correctional facilities across the country. Saturday morning, 700 inmates countrywide were granted presidential amnesty as part of the commemoration to mark the country's 57th independence anniversary celebration. Among those pardoned, 642 are male, 10 of whom are old-aged, while 56 are females, among them 24 women with circumstantial children. The Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Jack Mwimbu, disclosed the information during a media briefing in Lusaka Saturday morning.
The pardoning of the 700 inmates will greatly help to increase the social distancing in our correctional centers to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in light of the congestion rate, which stands at 120%. The conditions in our correctional centers are deplorable and not conducive for human habitation. His Excellency the President has called on the new Correctional Command to find ways of improving the welfare of the inmates in all the correctional facilities. The President mentioned the challenge of congestion, lack of adequate food and blankets are some of the priority problems to focus on by the new Sales Command.
The action by the President is pursuant to Article 97 of the Constitution, which provides for presidential pardon and substitution of several punishments imposed on convicted persons.
The total holding capacity of our correctional centers remains at 10,500. The UPND government will work tirelessly to ensure that that is a paradigm shift of the penal system from punitive to a correctional one is practically translated. You may wish to know that on average, the correctional service has been admitting more than 200 new admissions per week across the country. And this situation has to be addressed by all stakeholders in the criminal justice system.
For these inmates, their joy knows no bound, the taste of freedom to reunite with the society. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Jesus Anointed Ministries Kabwata branch presiding pastor Kelvin Zulu has noted with concern the high poverty levels, unemployment, undulation, high cost of living, among other several challenges in the country. Pastor Zulu has questioned as to what the country has been doing when other African countries sat down to think and plan strategies on how to raise their standards. The clergy says it is high time that Zambians rose to the occasion and built a better foundation for the future generation to pick up. We have more in the following report.
They marched from Findeko House in Lusaka to Kabwata Church Branch, where they have declared a 90 days of prayer and soul winning. Accompanied by the grass band from the Zambia service, members of Jesus Anointed Ministries have taken it upon themselves to speak against the negative vices such as high poverty levels, unemployment, and high cost of living, among other several challenges in the country. The church says it is sad to note that 57 years after independence and 30 years after Zambia was declared a Christian nation, so many things have remained unchanged in the country, such as Findeko House still being the tallest building, which Pastor Kelvin Zulu says is a spirit of stagnation.
There are people who are dying and they go to hell. There are still people who are dying and they go to heaven. Children of God, let us choose to die like Abraham. Abraham prospered here on earth and he still feared God. His wealth never entered into his heart. His title, his honor never entered into his head. He still feared God, he still loved God, even in prosperity. So kulipe ati nikalemela nisinienda kuheo. No, prosperity, wealth, title does not take you to hell as long as you fear God, as long as you love God.
The pastor says the church needs to take up the mantle and renounce the spirit of stagnation, which he says has continued to bind the country from moving forward despite having attained its independence 57 years ago.
We are simply announcing that there's no other God in Zambia but the Lord our God. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who is our God, is the God we shall preach, is the God we shall announce over Zambia. We refuse to worship any other God. Anyone who introduces you to another God other than Jesus, refuse, because there's only one life, and that life is in Jesus.
And while the country will on Sunday, 24th October 2021, celebrate its 57th birthday, much reflection needs to be done on how best all sectors, including the church, can be part of the development that will see to it that Zambia moves forward. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
You're watching Camnet and not just another channel. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
Would you like to win some cool cash? Say no more. Stand a chance to win your share of 1 million kwacha. Simply make a transaction from your Zamtel mobile money account and you could be one of weekly winners of up to 10,000 kwacha. Be empowered with Zamtel mobile money. Dial *344# to activate your account. This promotion runs from 28th July to 31st October 2021. Zamtel, your digital.
In our quest to save nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. United Party for National Development Alliance spokesperson Leslie Chikose has stressed that the loss suffered by the party in the recent Kaumbwe and Lusangazi by-elections is a wake-up call for the Alliance Party to do more in Eastern Province. In an interview with Camnet News Saturday morning, Mr. Chikose says people in the area are not concerned with who is leading them, but whether their needs and wants are being addressed adequately. Mr. Chikose reiterates that the UPND Alliance Party must work hard to get to the people of Eastern Province and begin to understand and satisfy their needs by taking development to the area. Meanwhile, Mr. Chikose has hinted that the soon-to-be presented national budget should be reflective and explain what government intends and how government intends to address the people's needs.
Province, because basically when you look at the people in the Eastern Province, they are not looking at who is the leader who has come in. They are basically looking at whether they their wants, needs and wants have been satisfied. And it is clear that in the little period that there's been a change of government. Of course, not all the needs of the people have been have been delivered, and people are still expect that. So I think that the loss in Kaumbe and Sangazi will make us, and should be able to make the alliance and and the President Hakainde to work even harder to try and get to the people and begin to understand and satisfy the people. I think that you understand that we are having a budget. The UPND is having a budget that will be somewhere next month, and I'm sure that this budget should be reflective of how we intend to bring water, because there are a lot of issues in Kaumbe, the issues of water, issues of fertilizer, issues to do with bridges and so on. So these are the issues that we need to zero in if at all we are going to talk about proper independence of the masses.
Ministry of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development will in the 2022 embark on the development of a legislation that is intended to strengthen the general performance of the housing sector. Speaking during the launch of Horizon Green Village Housing in Chongwe district of Lusaka, Minister of Infrastructure Charles Milupi says government is encouraging Zambian companies to come on board and provide local initiatives that will improve the housing sector in the country. The minister says there is great need for government and other stakeholders to work together in the fight against the housing deficit that currently stands at 1.5 million units. We have details in the following report.
Considering housing as a vital element of infrastructure helps to see the nation in a different light. That said, Ministry of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development will in 2022 embark on the development of a legislation that is intended to strengthen the general performance of the housing sector. Speaking during the launch of the Horizon Green Village Housing in Chongwe district of Lusaka province, Minister of Infrastructure Charles Milupi says government is encouraging Zambian companies to come on board and provide local initiatives that will improve the housing sector in the country.
The provision of decent, adequate and affordable housing in Zambia. Therefore, this housing project comes at an opportune time as it complements the efforts of my ministry and that of government, the New Dawn government, in ensuring provision of housing to all Zambians. Ladies and gentlemen, I am informed that the Horizon Properties Limited has also partnered with the other Zambian organizations such as Zambia Home Loans and the Zambia National Building Society to provide financing to would-be customers of this project.
And Chongwe Member of Parliament, Sylvia Masevo, says the construction of the houses in Chongwe is another way of creating employment.
This kind of business attracts women, attracts the youth. So for me, I'm excited. My only appeal to you, sir, is please try as much as possible to employ the locals, those people that live within the boundaries of Chongwe. As you will note, the president is talking about decentralization. It's about power to the people in various localities.
Meanwhile, Horizon Green Village Chief Executive Officer says the company will work hand in hand with government to bring sustainable development.
Uniform community of private homes built on purchased plots in which the owners will coexist with the environment in a friendly manner without depriving of the future generations of the natural resources in the village. The Green Village Housing Project is anchored on sustainable development. The catchword here in this name of the project is
Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Professional Teachers Union of Zambia, ProTUZ, says it regrets the unfortunate continued lies and propaganda deliberately being orchestrated by some well-known associations and movements within the teaching profession in Zambia. In a statement made available to the media, Professional Teachers Union of Zambia Public Relations Officer Brian Miller says the association has presented before government or burning issues affecting them. Among the issues raised include thorny salary upgrades, confirmations in all appointments, PMEC IDs for newly upgraded secondary and combined schools, among other administrative issues. Mr. Mwila also states that ProTUZ members should note that if there will be any delay in the implementation of the pressing issues by government, the members should not mistake that for the association having failed to represent them.
The Professional Teachers Union of Zambia regrets the continued lies and propaganda orchestrated by some well-known associations and movements within the teaching profession here in Zambia. The union wishes to make it categorical to the members that it has presented all the burning issues affecting our members, and government is very much aware about this. Among them is a thorny issue to do with upgrades of our colleagues who have attained professional qualifications, confirmations in appointments, the award of PMEC IDs for new secondary and combined schools. Government has continued assuring us of expeditious implementation of these administrative issues, and so our members should not be cheated by any person that unions are doing nothing. That should be condemned in the strongest possible terms. We also want to assure our members.
The Kelvin Nyorongo Foundation has launched a youth hub at the first Zambian President Kenneth Kaunda's Challenge House, which will facilitate the education, business and tourism activities as another way of raising revenue for the country. Speaking during the launch, Hope Foundation Chief Executive Officer Kelvin Nyorongo says preserving national heritage sites is important as it can be used as a means to create employment opportunities for the young people. Meanwhile, Ministry of Tourism representative Ndioi Muyumbwa says the hub will promote the diversification of cultural activities in the country. We have more in the following report.
The Kelvin Nyorongo Foundation says the youth hub at the Challenge House, which will facilitate for the education, business and tourism activities, is another way of raising revenue for the country. In an interview with Camnet News, the executive director, Kelvin Nyorongo, has since called on government to empower the many youth that will be showcasing their products with an aim of promoting the Zambian economy through the diverse activities to be exhibited. Mr. Nyorongo has encouraged the young in society to embrace the working culture and avoid vices that are less productive.
As we are going on, we've seen that much hasn't been paid attention, so that's why we entered an MOU with NHCC to make sure that kids will be brought here and there will be various activities for them to learn. But also you've seen that there are a lot of entrepreneurs who have come. When we looked at this place with the level of unemployment, we knew that we could bring the young people who are doing.
He has since called on the members of the public to make use of their house so as to carry on the legacy of Zambia's founding father, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda.
Things, and that's why we appealed today to President Hakainde Hichilema to make sure that this should be some of the youths that should be empowered in the empowerment programs, because you've seen what they are doing. But apart from that, we've also we want to help the government in terms of raising revenue for the country. So we want to promote this place to the tourists to know what our forefather did. Our forefathers, including the late KK and the team, what they did for us. So that's basically what we want. So from now on.
Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
This is Camnet TV Main News. We'll take a break. We'll be back with international and sports news.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum Products for that perfect skin.
At Savenda Express Printing, we have the capacity to deliver quality in all kinds of printing services timely. Our lines of production include screen printing, embroidery, lithography, and large format printing. We take pride in delivering quality work at very competitive rates with our in-house, highly experienced and qualified designers. With the ability to print full color and embossing prints, our state-of-the-art screen printing machines are able to print 1,000 pieces per hour. Our embroidery machines are able to print any logo with 1 or up to 12 colors all at once and has an output capacity of 100 pieces per hour. Savenda Express Printing also does large format printing for billboards, banners, vinyl, car stickers, posters, tire covers, cups, pens, bags, flasks, packaging boxes, and well, just anything that can need printing. For inquiries, give us a call on 0960 344 471.
Are you a small to medium enterprise looking to advertise your products and services within your community and across Zambia? In these economic times, we are here to help you grow your business. Advertise with us on Camnet Market. Camnet Market is offering lower rates for prime time advertising between 06 to 18 hours every day to give your business an edge under the new normal and beyond. For more details, contact us on the following numbers: 097 975 3010 or 096 296 5883, as well as 096 244 726. You can also reach us via email on info@camnettvafrica.com. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Unrest in ESWATINI has left dozens of people dead or wounded in the past few months. Protesters are demanding democracy in Africa's last absolute monarch. But the demand is affecting the economy with more than 68 million United States dollars in losses. And in other news, the Thai government is targeting critics of its COVID-19 vaccine plan, with many ending up in jail. Most have been charged with defaming the monarchy. The king owns the only firm producing jabs in the country. We monitor Al Jazeera for a roundup of international news.
The campus of Carboys High School belies its academic excellence as the best performing in Eswatini. Now its library and textbooks are charred and classrooms vandalized during unrest linked to pro-democracy protests.
It really is not good, because as a school we always strive for having learners in class to teach them. We are still not yet good in online learning. We are trying to use it, but some parents can't afford to get phones.
Since the protests began in June, many students have boycotted classes demanding free education. Only primary school is free, although the government pays for high school for the neediest students. The population is increasing in this country of more than 1.1 million people. But the government says there aren't enough jobs. That's why it's prioritizing education. 24,000 high school students will graduate this year and enter a job market with a youth unemployment rate of 54%. High school student Bomenzi Mizaleni anticipates he'll have to build his future abroad, beginning with university in South Africa next year.
Because of the unrest in the country, this hasn't been something that has just sprung up. It's been something that has been, there were events that were leading up to this point, so it's no surprise that, everything is happening the way it is. So I think it's best for me, to go study elsewhere.
Last year, a cyclone destroyed Duduzile Dubé's home, where she lives with her son and grandchildren. She says the government sent a team to survey the damage and promised a disaster relief fund would provide her money to rebuild. She has not received a dollar or a block of concrete. The family doesn't have running water or electricity.
What troubles me is that I have nothing to give these children. If I could just get my home rebuilt and food, because I'm having trouble feeding the children.
Dubé says she can't stop worrying that her mud house might collapse during the next heavy rain.
Earlier this month, supporters gathered in front of Bangkok's Raman prison, calling for the release of protesters jailed for royal defamation or Article 112. Two of those had been the only participants of a protest which resulted in them being held without bail.
Thai government can get their act together. The government and monarchy are reaping all the benefits.
At the protest in front of the headquarters of the pharmaceutical firm owned by Thailand's king, Siam Bioscience, the two protesters questioned the government's move to award and fund its local AstraZeneca vaccine production solely to the firm, the backbone of Thailand's COVID-19 response. When opposition MPs asked for greater transparency, the government released a copy of the contract between AstraZeneca and Siam Bioscience. But critical sections of the contract were blacked out, like the budget, the schedule for vaccine distribution, and numbers of shots. A leading opposition figure also charged with royal defamation for criticizing the Siam Bioscience deal was officially read his charge last week.
I was questioning the spirit of this deal, that whether it's beneficial to the monarchy, because if there is any failure in the production, then the people will question the king as the ultimate owner of the company.
And he said the government's hands are tied. It can't pursue legal action against Siam Bioscience with the king as the firm's head. In responding to a question from Al Jazeera regarding the jailing of peaceful activists for protesting outside Siam Bioscience's headquarters, AstraZeneca declined to comment. Tanatorn sees the government's crackdown on public outcry about the deal to be a low point for the country, saying there are more royal defamation cases now than ever before.
I think this is the dark age of freedom in Thailand.
One royalist group pushed for the charges against the two young protesters, saying they're focused on the wrong issue.
I think the conflict of interest is not the issue that we should focus on. We have to focus on the current crisis, not the fact that the company will have the patent and right to produce more vaccine in the future.
So while governments and leaders around the world are working on ways to move on from the pandemic, adopting a policy of transparency about COVID-19, Thailand's government appears to be focused on putting people in prison who are asking for that same openness.
It's now time for sports news. In sports news, Science and Technology Minister Felix Mutati has urged athletes in the country to develop resilience, focus and determination. Speaking when he graced the Zambia closed chess tournament Saturday morning in Lusaka, Mr. Mutati says the chess tournament must be turned into an annual event in order for the field to produce athletes that will contribute to the economic development of the country. The minister explains that chess is an essential game that Zambians need as it helps develop youths into critical thinkers and resourceful citizens. Meanwhile, Chess Federation of Zambia President Mukubulo Chilufya says the Chess Federation needs funding from different sponsors. He says this will be one way of helping to coach chess players whose effort will increase Zambia's ranking at continental and global levels.
It has to be serious, eh?
We've had a dry spell of events this year owing to lack of funds and COVID-19. I would love to reiterate, Honorable, that the game of chess is more of a science than it is a game. It's got the capacity to build the mental faculties, and we use a lot of technology in sharpening our skills, so this resonates pretty well with your ministry.
But President, I think this tournament, let it be an annual event. And we commit that on an annual basis we shall find new sponsors so that the game actually grows. I believe that chess is a battle of minds more than anything else.
We'll take a look at the headlines as we end Camnet TV main news. 700 prisoners walk to freedom. Cabinet U-turns on its decision to invite KALABA to State House. Presidential appointments anger UPND party members. In international news, poor conditions in ESWATINI aggravated by unrest. And in sports news, MUTATI urges that chess tournament be turned into an annual event. We'll now look at the Camnet verse for the day, which is coming from Isaiah 14, verse 24 and 27. The Lord Almighty has sworn, surely as I have planned, so it will be, and as I have purposed, so it will happen. For the Lord Almighty has proposed, and who can thwart him? His hand is stretched out, and who can turn it back? My name is Jeffrey Zembo, and thanks for watching the news. Bye-bye.